Hey friends, what's up? What's going on? How are you? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Ayin Hey, Daf 75 of Masechta Yoma. What just happened? Awesome Daf today, right? It's like a brachasi kind of Daf. Monster, big, huge Daf. Agarata. We're talking about Man, and we're talking about Slav. Fun stuff. Let's get started. We need to start on Ayin Daled Umud Beis. Let's see. Here we go. Bottom line of Ayin Daled Umud Beis. Kiten because Eino Yisalach b'Meisharim. Where's this pasuk? Who could tell me? In Mishlei. Very nice. Pasuk in Mishlei says Kiten because Eino, when a person likes to drink alcohol, Yisalach b'Meisharim, so he thinks that everything is straight, right? You know, right? Liquid confidence, isn't that what they call it? So you drink a shtickle and you think everything's okay. Rabami Verbasi, Charomer Klanosin Eino Bikoso, Arayus Kulan Domus Olive Kimishar. So one opinion is that somebody who drinks too much, so he thinks that all of these forbidden relationships are taka okay. V'Charomer Klanosin Eino Bikos Kol Olam Kuladom Olive Kimishar. And the other opinion is that somebody who drinks too much, so he thinks that the entire world is his. Says Rashi, Mammon Acherim Domulo Heter. He thinks that he could just entitle himself to treat himself to other people's money. So that's of course that's not the case in the real world. Daiga belevish yashchena, that when there is fear in a fellow's heart, so yashchena, what does that mean? So one of them says he should get it out of his mind. If you have fear in your heart, so you should try to just think about other things. Those who say that you should share it with other people, express it to other people, and they can maybe give you shtickle sayrus, shtickle chizik, can help you out of the situation by talking it out. V'nochosh offer lachmo. Where's this pasuk? This pasuk in Yeshaya talking about the end. I'll just read the pasuk. It's a very, very nice pasuk. Ze'ev v'tale yiru ke'echad, that in the future the wolf and the sheep, or the wolf and the lamb, they will graze together. V'arye kabakar yochal teven, and a lion, just like the cattle, will consume straw, so that the lion will not have to kill the cow. V'nochosh offer lachmo, and the snake will eat dust. Says the Eibishter that there will be nothing will do any harm. So so the Gemara says that that dust is the bread of a snake. That a snake, it could even eat mamish the most gishmaka maidonim, mamish the most gishmaka foods, and still all he tastes is dirt. It's like with wine. People who aren't really so into wine, so they can mamish drink the most gishmaka wine. It just tastes like alcohol or whiskey. I guess whatever. The other way to understand is not that everything tastes like dirt, but that he can mamish eat the most delectable treats, and nonetheless he just wants dirt. He might taste them and say very nice, but at the end of the day the snake just wants dirt. Tanya, we learn in the Brisa, Rabbi Yossi says, come and see that the ways of God are different than the ways of man. In what way? The way of man is that he gets into an argument with his friend, or he gets into some kind of machlokas with his friend. So Imam wants to go adasov. He wants to make sure that his friend is going to regret it. He won't leave any stone unturned in making that fellow's life miserable. Aval Kadosh Baruch Hu enu ken. The Eibishter is not so. Kil asanochosh. He cursed the snake. Not such a bad curse. I mean, it sounds pretty bad. All you eat is dust, but there's an upside. Ola lagag mazonosavimo. Yor lamatam mazonosavimo. Sure, all he's eating is dirt, but there's mamish no shortage of dirt in the world. So yeah, God cursed the snake, but he also cursed him with something that's readily available no matter when, no matter where. Kilas Canaan, the Eibishter cursed Canaan, the son of Noach, after what he did to his father. Different opinions, Masechta Sanhedrin. But it says, right, Orur Canaan, what is it? Eved Avodim Yeh Lamo, something like that. That Canaan is going to be a slave to his brothers. At the end of the day, a slave eats whatever his master gives him. So he has food available at the end of the day. As opposed to if he made him like, just like, punished him and, what was the other option? I guess if he didn't necessarily make him enslaved, but just like to have to wander on his own, he would have to deal with his own stuff. Kilas Aisha, God cursed women after the chait of the Eitz Hadas. And yet everybody's running after him. Everybody, let's leave it at that. Well, I imagine in most cases we're talking about men. So now, no, I skipped. Kilas Adama Akonizon Nemena, the Eibishter cursed the ground after the Chet Eitz Hadas, and yet everybody still manages to get sustenance from it. That the Yidden said to the Eibishter when they were complaining, they said, we remember the fish that we would eat in Egypt for free. Rav Shmuel, Machlokas Rav and Shmuel Chadamar Dogim Chadamar Arayas. One says it's mamish means fish. Apparently in Mitzrayim they would eat fish for free. The other mandamar is that it's arayas, that they would have inappropriate relationships in Mitzrayim. Mandamar Dogim Tichsev Nochal. So mandamar who says that it means fish, it's because the pasuk says Nochal, to eat. You eat fish. Mandamar Arayas Tichsev Chinam. Mandamar who says arayas, forbidden relationships, it's because it says chinam, free. That I guess that they didn't have too many rules. They were just sleeping with whoever they wanted. But according to Mandamar who says that it's talking about arayas, what does it do with the fact that the pasuk says nochal, to eat? You don't eat arayas. So it was just euphemistic, right? When it says eat, it means to be busy with the taivas of arayas. That if you have the pasuk in Mishlei says that you can have a woman who's sleeping with somebody that she shouldn't, and it says achel, she eats, and she cleans her mouth, and she says that didn't do anything wrong. So achla in that sense is a reference to arayas. With man the dogim man chinam. And so according to the Mandamar who says that it's talking about fish, what does it mean that they were eating fish for free? What's chinam? Davu maisin lehu me'efkeret. That they were, that they had fish from the ownerless fish stuff. As we said, that when the Yidden in Mitzrayim would draw water, that when the Yidden in Mitzrayim would fill up their buckets or their pails with water, God would put into the water small fish, and they would have small fish for free. So I understand according to the Mandamar who says that they had free fish in Mitzrayim, but there were no issues of inappropriate relationships. This is what the pasuk says in Shir Hashirim, that my sister is like a locked garden, and then the pasuk says Mayan Chosum, a closed spring, meaning that the women closed themselves off and they weren't being involved in inappropriate relationships. My Mayan Chosum. But according to Mandamar who says that there was inappropriate relationships going on, so what is this Ma'ayan Chatum? What is this closed spring? That as a metaphor to that the women were closing themselves off from inappropriate relationships. But if you say that in Mitzrayim the Dafka were involved in inappropriate relationships, so then how do you understand Ma'ayan Chasum? So mehanach da asirin lo pritze behu. So the answer is that when it says ma'ayan chasum, that they were like a closed off spring, that is a reference to the sort of baseline arouse, right? For example, the Bnei Noach, right? There's a Shev mitzvahs Bnei Noach, that there are 7 global mitzvahs, even for the Noahide laws. Now, one of them is Gilu Arayos, that they have to, respect certain appropriate relationships. So now the Yidden have, extra relationships. I don't know if like an example of that maybe is like Nara Me'orasa, something like that. There are certain relationships that are forbidden to Yidden but would be permitted to Bnei Noach. So what the Gemara is saying is that when it says Mayan Chasum, that they were like a closed off spring, it means, the basic layer of Arayas they respected. However, according to the Mandamar, who says that they were Pritzin, that they were involved in inappropriate relationships, it's talking about those relationships that specifically Yidden refrained from. They were nonetheless doing. According to Manda Amar, who says that it means that they were involved in Arayas, so then I understand what it means that when it says in the Pasuk, where's this Pasuk? In Bamidbar. When was this? Was this like after the Misonanim, I think? And it says that Moshe heard the nation crying lemishpachosav to their families, al iske mishpachosav shenesru loem lishkov etzlam. That it's talking about Arayas, that they were upset that they couldn't be involved in certain forbidden relationships. And therefore, I understand, according to Mandamar, who says that in Egypt they were partaking in forbidden relationships. That's why they were upset when they found out that they were no longer allowed to partake in those relationships. But according to Mandamar, who says that what the pasuk means is that the Taka had a lot of fish, but there were no issues of Arayas, well then what were they so upset about in terms of additional Arayos? Well, they were respecting those laws anyways. So the answer is, well, it was Taka both. So according to the Mandamar, who says that there were fish, there was Arayos, and that's why they were upset later on when they found out that they weren't allowed to continue with those relationships, but also they got free fish from Mitzrayim. Alright, sounds very nice. Free fish. Free fish sounds good, I guess. Herring, maybe? Maybe they got herring. It was small fish. Maybe that's where they started making herring, in Mitzrayim. It says that they remember the cucumbers and the watermelons. So, one opinion is that, right, because they're saying, we remember that in Egypt we ate cucumbers, melons, all sorts of things. So, but they had the man. I thought the man tastes like whatever you wanted it to taste like. So the answer is, at least according to this opinion, when it comes to the man that fell from the heavens in Egypt, it kamamish tastes like anything. However, but these specific 5 items, you could not taste in the man. You couldn't taste the cucumber. You couldn't have a cucumber flavored man. Wasn't going to happen. The other opinion is the other opinion is that all other species, you can taste them in the man and their texture too. So Lamaisa, if you wanted to eat a pizza man, so mamish tastes like Kraft Pizza and Shukmachli Yehuda, and it would also have the texture of the dough that they leave out for 3 days while they wait for it to be cooked in the oven. They leave it out for 3 days. That's like part of their shtick. I don't know if they leave it out for 3 days, they prepare it for 3 days. It's a whole process, making pizza. That's why it's so geschmack. Akopanim. So, if you had pizza man, so it would taste like pizza and it would even have the texture like pizza. But a cucumber, you could taste like cucumber, but it's not going to have the crunch. It's not going to have the crunch, Lamaisa. Okay, okay, you can get the flavor, you can't get the crunch. All right, sounds good. For these 5 species, weiter. What's the next word? You have to. You got to touch the shtickle. What's this? No, where are you? Hey, vihu. Vihu kizer God. Lavan. And the man is like a white seed of coriander. Cilantro also. Reb Ezi Kalsin, that was his, right, Reb Ezi Kalsin, he pointed, right. I remember once upon a time, I think in Masechta Shabbos, I kept on forgetting the word cilantro. Right. V'ukzer God Lavan, and the man was like a white coriander seed. Reb Asi Agul Kigida V'Lavan Kin Margolis. So Reb Asi points out, well, coriander seeds, I guess, aren't white. So it says Reb Asi that Agul Kigida, it was round like a coriander seed, V'Lavan Kin Margolis, and it was white like a pearl. Tana Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, God Shadoma Lezer Pishton Bigivolin. Alright, that it's similar to like a seed of flax in its stalk. Those who say God Shadome Lahagada, that it's the man is called God because it's similar to Agada, to speaking, to telling over like a story. That it draws in a person's heart like water. Alright. Tani Idach, we have another brayso that says, God Shemagid Loim L'Yisrael, that God is like Shemagid, that it tells to the Yidden, Iben Tisha L'Rishon V'iben Shiva L'Achron. It tells if it is like if it is the 9th of the first one or the 7th of the second one. What does that mean? It means if you have a woman who gets married to a new husband, so now, and then she gives birth 9 months later. So the shaila is the baby, was it conceived by the first husband, and now she's giving birth 9 months after the first husband? Or was the baby conceived with the second husband, in which case she's giving birth after 7 months with the second husband? So that's the shaila. So what would happen is, well, it depends, right? We know that the man, you would only get however much you needed for your family. If you had 5 people in the family, you get 5 omers. Omer la gogoles, 1 omer per person. And even if you collected 10, you would still only get 5 if you had 5 people. So now, so how does this fit in? It fits in because what would happen is the next day when the man fell, whoever got the extra man, the baby belonged to that person clearly, and it was part of that person's household, and there you have it. That's the father. So the man would tell the people, would like answer questions like this, is the baby from the first husband or the second husband? Well, just see which husband gets the extra portion of man. Lavan shemalben avonosein shel Yisrael, it's called Lavan because it makes the sins of the Yidden white. Alright, sounds very nice. As Rashi says, the top of the second column of Rashi, that because you never know with the man if it's going to fall tomorrow. It's part of the amazing thing about man, right? Meaning God rained down the man every day for 40 years, but at the end of the day, there's no guarantee it's going to come tomorrow. Maybe if you make God upset or something like that, maybe He's not going to give you man tomorrow. There's always that possibility, right? The Imamish relied upon God. That every day they relied upon God for their food. And maybe tomorrow it won't come. And therefore, Shemalbin Avonosein Shel Yisrael, that it makes the sins of Israel white, i.e., because they would have to dafka believe in God and rely upon God for their sustenance. Tanya, we learn in the brayso of Yossi Omer, says Rabbi Yossi Kshem Shanovi Magid Loim L'Yisrael Masha B'chonu V'Stakin, just like the Navi would be able to tell the Yidden what is in like their nooks and crannies. Kachamon Magid Loim L'Yisrael Masha B'chonu Masha B'Stakin. The man would also tell the Yidden what is in their nooks and crannies. What does that mean? Ketzad, how is this? Shnaim Shabar Lifnei Moshe Ladin. If you have 2 fellows who come before Moshe for a judgment, Ze Omer Avdi Ganavta, Ze Omer Ato Machartali. Reuven says, hey Shimon, you stole my slave. And Shimon says, what do you mean? You sold it to me. Well, Moshe says, well, we'll have our answer in the morning. Well, you just wait till the next day and you see who gets the man. If the original owner gets the man, well then clearly the slave was stolen from him. If the new owner gets the man, well then clearly he purchased it. V'chen ish v'isha, also a man and woman, shabau lifnei Moshe ladin, that they come before Moshe for divorce court. Ze omer hisarcha alai v'omeres husarcha alai. The husband says she wronged me and I want a divorce, and she says he wronged me and I want a divorce. So something like that. So where am I? So again, Moshe says, look, let's just wait till the morning. So if the next morning her man is found in her husband's house, so clearly her husband was right and she was wrong. And if the man was found by her father's house, so then clearly the husband wronged her and she is right, and therefore she can get a divorce and go home. Alright. Zogt the Gemara, okay, so it says that when the dew would fall on the camp at night, so then the man would fall upon the dew, meaning in the middle of the camp. You wouldn't have to go anywhere to get it. It was just right there. But it also says that the nation had to go out of the camp in order to gather the man. And another pasuk says that they had to go far away in order to gather the man. What's pshat? Tzadikim yared al Pesach bateim. Well, the righteous people, the man fell right outside their door, right outside their house. They could just pick it up in the morning with the morning newspaper. Benonim Yatsu V'laktu, the kind of middle level people, they had to go out of the camp in order to gather their man. Rishoim Shatu V'laktu, the evil people had to mamish go far away in order to chap their man. Ksiv lechem u'ksiv ugis u'ksiv v'tachanu. One pasuk says it was ready-made bread. The other pasuk says that it was cakes, like things that weren't yet baked, that you'd have to bake them. The other one says you would have to mamish grind it up before you can even bake it. Haketza tzadikim lechem, the tzadikim, the righteous people, would get bread. Beinonim ugis, the middle kind of people, middle level people, they would get these like sort of batters or doughs that you'd have to bake. Rishayim tachnu barichaim, the evil people had to grind up the man and, put it in the oven, that whole thing. Odacho b'medocha, or you can, like crush it in like a mortar. Amr Reb Yehuda Amar Rav v'item Reb Chama Reb Chanina melamed sheyored loim liYisrael imamon tachshit enoshim. Davar shenidoch b'medocha, that with the man also fell like fragrant, like things that can be used for the women for like perfumes, that they would just crush them in mortars and they would have geshmaka perfumes. Also compliments of the Eibishter. Uvishlu b'parur, and they would, I guess, boil it in something. Amr Reb Chama melamed sheyored lem im liYisrael imamon tzike kedera, that also spices came down with the man. So I guess if you're having pizza man, you would also have like the chili flakes or whatever it is. And it says by the donations for the Mishkan that they would bring donations every morning. Where do they bring donations from? Where do they have money from? My baboker, what's every morning? Amr Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amr Reb Yonasan, midavar sheyored loim baboker, that they brought their donations for the Mishkan from what fell down baboker every day. That together with the man also came all sorts of fancy stones, expensive stones and jewels and things. So that's how they had money for the donations of the Mishkan. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So the Nisim brought the stones for like I think that was for the ephod. Tana Nisim mamish. So it's talking about mamish clouds, right? Not the Nisim. No, it means Nisim like clouds. Clouds brought in the stones for the I believe it's the ephod. Similarly, it says Nisim ruach v'geshem oyin. That there's a passage that talks about Nisim, clouds, v'ruach, and wind, v'geshem ayin, and yet there is no rain. But at time l'shar hashamen, and the flavor was like, I think, a cask of oil. Amr Babo, ma shad ze tinok toim bo kama taimim, says a Babo that just like a mother's breast, so the child can taste the flavors of whatever the mother was eating. Afaman, kozman shisel ochlin also, motzbo kama taimim, also the man, you can eat it and taste whatever, all sorts of different flavors. Ikidamri the shad mamish, those who say it's mamish like a demon, mashedze mishapech lechamagvanin, just like a demon can change into like all sorts of different interesting colors. Afaman misapech lechamataimim, also the man could be all sorts of different flavors. Says Moshe that when the Eibishter gives to you meat at night to eat, and bread in the morning, right? The man would come in the morning, the slav would come at night. Tana Mishmei Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha says, it's taught in the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, Basar sheshalu shelo kahogen, that meat that they asked for inappropriately, nitan laim shelo kahogen. Why was it inappropriate? Rashi says, I think he says somewhere that it was inappropriate, and then at the top of the next page, that it was inappropriate, she'yefshar lios below that. Where am I? Mitoch keres meleh shari mikna rav ha'ilahim. They had already a lot of, right? It says that they already had a lot of animals and things with them. So why did they have to complain about meat? So they asked for meat inappropriately. So nitan loim shelo kahogen, it was given them at night when it was getting dark, when it was hard to prepare properly. Lechem sheshalu kahogen, bread that they asked for appropriately, right? You need bread. Nitan loim kahogen, so then it was given to them in the morning at a time when they have proper, enough time to eat. Mikan lamda Torah derech eretz. From here the Torah taught shelo yochal adam basar ela b'layla, that you should davka eat shelo yochal adam basar ela b'layla. Oh, interesting. So mikan lamda Torah derech eretz shelo yochal adam basar ela b'layla, that a person should davka eat meat at night. Ve'amar Abaye Haiman de Islay Sudasa lo lechle ela b'yamama. But Abaye said that if you're making a feast, you should davka eat during the day. So ke'ein yamama kamina, it means like the day, meaning that you should have lights there. Interesting. So the Gemara wants to say that davka, from the fact that we got the slav at night, so then it means that that's the time to eat meat, is at night. Alright? What about the fact that you're supposed to eat during the day according to Abaye? No, it means that even if you eat at night, just make sure you have lights on so you can see your food. Alright? Amr of Achabar Yaakov Batchila Yusah Dom Kitanagolim Sheminakim Ba'ashba, says of Achabar Yaakov that initially the Yidden were like chickens that just peck around in the garbage. Ajaba Moshe v'Kavaloim Zman Suda, until Moshe came and made fixed times for eating in the morning and at night. No more pecking around in the garbage. You eat in the morning, you eat at night, you had set meals. Alright. Should we take a Babylon Talmud poll? Who has set meals and who just like eats randomly? I don't have set meals. I have set meals on Shabbos. I have set meals on Shabbos. Shabbos. I guess I usually on Shabbos. I guess I like kind of have like meals, but during the week, no way, Jose. Set meals? No. Should I tell you guys a secret? I don't know. Let's go weiter. Weiter. Where am I? I can't remember. Should we just stop here? Alright, weiter. No, so the one pasuk says that the meat was still between their teeth, and they got, right, it was after the right, they asked for the slav, and the meat was still between their teeth, and they mamish got a zetz, got in big trouble. Yet another pasuk says that it was taka for a month. So okay, it said, how is this? Was it mamish immediate while it was still between their teeth, or did it take a month? So beinonim la'alter mesu, the people were like kind of in the middle, kind of like little bit nudniks, so they died immediately. Whereas the big nudniks, they were very uncomfortable for a whole month before they perished. That they put them in piles. Says Rish Lakish that it doesn't mean that they put it in piles, it means that they slaughtered. Teaches that the Yidden at that time were in big trouble and that they were chayiv to be killed. shatoach in piles. Tana mishmei Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha atika shatoach ela shachut. Don't read it piled, rather read it slaughtered. Yisrael im aman davar shaton shchita. Oh, so you could drop with im aman. The Yisrael davar shaton shchita. So it teaches that the slav needed to be slaughtered. Right? It was birds that needed to be slaughtered. Amar Rebbe says, Rebbe v'chimikana talamid. Do you learn out the halachas of shchita from here, from the fact that it says that the slav had to be slaughtered? That's how you learn out that you have to slaughter you have to slaughter these birds. If I look for the pasuk says, "Vayamtar aleim ke'afar she'er u'kechol yomim of kanaf," that the Eibishter rained down upon them like dust and like the sand of the sea. What did he rain down? Birds. Vitani was taught in the Brisa. Rebbe Yoma says, "Rebbe v'zavachta kasher tzivisicha," and you will slaughter them like I commanded you. When did the Eibishter command you to slaughter anything? So it teaches that Moshe was already commanded about the trachea and the esophagus, I guess, with these birds. That when it comes to a bird, you have to slaughter the majority of either the trachea or the esophagus when it comes to a bird. Whereas when it comes to an animal, you'd have to slaughter the majority of both the trachea and the esophagus. So then what does it mean that it was in piles? It means that it came down in layers. Okay. It says in the context of the man, it says bread, it also says oil, it also says honey. For the young lads, it was bread. Lizkanim, for the elder folk, shemen, it was like oil. The tinokos dvash, for the babies, it was honey. Ksiv shlav v'karinon slav. It's written shlav like shalva, chilling out. I don't know what shalva is. Shalva. I have a friend who has a tea company called Shalva Tea. V'karinon slav, yet we read it slav. Like thorns. So, tranquility, I think, I once was working on a software product that I called Tranquil. It was like a notebook kind of thing. Yeah, that was interesting. Didn't go anywhere, but interesting project. Akoponim. So Amr B'chanina tzadikim ochlin also b'shalva. So the tzadikim, the righteous people, would eat these birds, this slav, b'shalva, in tranquility. Rishayim ochlin also v'domelein kisilvan. Whereas the evil people, the nudniks, they eat the slav, and it's like thorns. That I don't want to eat thorns. Amr B'chanan bar Rava. There are 4 types of slav. And these are them. Sichle v'kivle ufasione uslav. Sounds good. Ma'ayu d'chulu sichle, griya d'chulu slav. The best one of those 4 is the sichle one. The worst of them is the slav one. V'ave kitziporta, it was like a fagel, like a bird. Mosvinan la b'tanura, and they would put it in the oven. V'tafach, and it would blow up. It would like swell up. V'avamali tanura, and it would fill up the oven. Maskinon le'atlesa rife, and they would put the very fatty slav birds on 13 breads. V'achrona einan echeles aydei taroves, and the bread on the bottom would absorb so much of the schmaltz from the bird, from the fagel, that it was so schmaltzy you couldn't eat it. You had to mix it together with other things, but then it was probably very geschmack. That's probably the best one. That one they save for like the kiddush on shul. If there's a special simcha, probably like a siyum, they would save the schmaltz for the siyum. Rav Yehuda mishtakach le beidani. So interestingly, Rav Yehuda would have slav. God, Hashem, would like miraculously provide Rav Yehuda with like chicken, and he would find it in his barrels, where he has his barrels of wine. Rav Chizda would go into his woodshed, and sure enough, there would be slav for him. Rav Maisele Arise kol yoma. Rava, his sharecropper, every day would bring for him slavs that I guess God would provide for him. Yom echad lo aisi. One day, the sharecropper didn't bring this slav for Rava. Omar, so Rava said, my hi, what's going on? Why didn't I get any slav today? Salak li igra, shamar li yanuka. He went up to his roof and he heard a child who was saying the following pasuk: "Dikamer shamayti v'tigas bitni." I heard and my stomach got very angry. Amar shmamine noch nafshe de Rav Chizda uvdil Rava achil talmida. So says Rava, wow, what must have happened is that Rav Chizda passed away, and on account of the Rebbe, the student was eating. Now, Rav Chizda was Rava's father-in-law, as Rashi points out, and as I think we know from elsewhere, I think. Anyways, Rav Chizda was Rava's father-in-law, and he was also, as Rashi says, V'rabo Haya. He was also his teacher. Now, that's very interesting to me, because I knew that Rava was Rav Chizda's son-in-law, so I figured that he must have learned certain things. He had a certain relationship with Rav Chizda. I never thought of him, though, as like a student of Rav Chizda. It's very interesting. So Rashi says he was like a student of Rav Chizda. File that away somewhere. Anyway, so Rava says, wow, Rav Chizda must have passed away, and I was only getting this miraculous, interesting slav on account of Rav Chizda, on account of the teacher, the student was eating. Ksiv, the pasuk says, "Vatal shichva satal." That one pasuk says that, as the day progressed, the dew would lift off of the man and expose the man, which means that there was dew on top of the man. But the pasuk also says that when the dew would fall on the ground, the man would go on top of it. So it sounds like there was dew and then man and then more dew on top. So says Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina that there was dew below, dew above, man in the middle, and it was like it was resting in a box. It was closed and contained in a box. Dak mechuspos, it was very thin, and I think mechuspos is exposed, I think. It says for Rish Lakish that mechuspos is actually a combination of like different words. An acronym, I guess. Mechuspos is davar shenimoach al pisas hayad, that it melts in your hand. Alright? Melts in your hand, not in your mouth. Rabbi Yochanan Amar says, Rabbi Yochanan, davar shenivla b'masayim v'arbaim v'shmona evarim. Says Rabbi Yochanan that mechuspos is gematria 248. So it's saying that the man would be absorbed in your body. You didn't actually go to the bathroom. You didn't go to the bathroom. You didn't defecate. You didn't go to the bathroom from the man. It would just get absorbed in your body, in your 248 limbs. Perfecting Gemara, b'chuspas tuva ave. 1 second. Mechuspas is actually 354. No, 254. Whatever it is. 248 plus 6. Whatever that is. That's the gematria of mechuspas. So Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, mechaspes ksiv. Says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, it's actually written without the vav. It's written mechaspes. So there, and that in fact is gematria 248. That's why Rabbi Yochanan says that the man would be absorbed in the 248 limbs. Kilu would be absorbed in your body. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught lechem abirim ochal ish, that the bread of angels man ate. Lechem shmaloche asharis ochlinoso de Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva that it is the bread that the angels eat. Uchshenemru dvarim lifnei Rabbi Yishmael, and when this taich of Rabbi Akiva was said in front of Rabbi Yishmael, that lechem abir machalish is referring to the bread of the angels. Amar loem. So Rabbi Yishmael said to them, Tzu'u ve'amru lo la'Akiva, go and tell Akiva ta'isa. Akiva, you made a mistake. Do the angels eat bread? The pasuk already says that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to God, he didn't eat, he didn't drink. What do you mean it's the bread of angels? Angels don't eat bread. So says Rabbi Shmuel, what does it mean abirim? It means, like Rabbi Yochanan said, that it's talking about bread that gets absorbed in your 248 limbs, i.e. you don't go to the bathroom afterwards. Elamani Mekaye and Vyosati Elcha Lazinecha. In fact, the Gemara, but one second, a very sharp kasha, that the pasuk says, Mistama in Parshas Kiseitze, that when you go out to war, you should have a shovel with you, so that when you go to the bathroom, you should cover your excrement. But if we're saying that the man would be absorbed in their bodies, then there was no excrement. So the Gemara answers that wasn't for the man. If they would go out and if they would purchase food from other external merchants, well, then they would have to go to the bathroom for that, and that's why they needed a shovel. Rabbi Lazar ben Parta, Omer says, Rabbi Lazar ben Parta, av dvarim shetagari umusa olam ochiloim mon mafigon. Says Rabbi Lazar ben Parta that actually, even if they were to purchase food from an external source, still, they would not go to the bathroom. So, Elamani Mekayim v'yosati elcha lazenecha. Well then, how do you understand the pasuk that says that they had to take a shovel with them to war so that they would cover their excrement when they went to the bathroom? So the Gemara answers, Lachosh Sarchu. So the Gemara answers, after they complained, after they complained to God and said, how could it be, we're going to see in a second, how could it be that a human being eats food, that there's input and no output, that he eats food and doesn't go to the bathroom? That the Eibishter says, I said that they were going to be like the angels. Now that they're complaining, they're going to have to go to the bathroom like humans, and then they're going to have to walk 3 parsas just to go to the bathroom. The pasuk says, that they encamped on the Jordan from Beis HaYeshimos until Evel Hashitim. Says I saw that place. I saw from Beis HaYeshimos until Evel Hashitim. V'havya tlasa parse. And it was 3 parsas, i.e. the encampment of Israel in the desert was 3 parsas. Vitana, and we learn in the Brisa, kshenifnin enifnin lolifneim v'lolitzdadeim, that when they would go to the bathroom, they wouldn't go to the bathroom before them or to their sides, el achareim, rather behind them. Meaning, because they didn't know, right, they were encamped. They didn't know which direction they were going to be traveling, forward, right, left, but they did know that they weren't going to go backwards. So therefore, if they had to go to the bathroom, they would go outside of the camp, in the rear of the camp. So therefore, the people who were mamish at the front of the camp would have to walk 3 parsas. It's pretty far. That's like 5 miles, I think, just to go to the bathroom. So we see, let's even go a shtickle weiter, Vatanavshenu yuvesha ein kol, that the Yidden said, our souls are dried out, we don't have anything. They said, look, in the future something nasty is going to happen. We're going to get swollen, we're going to explode. Who's ever heard of somebody that eats food and then doesn't go to the bathroom afterwards? This is not going to end good. So at that point, that's when God said, alright, if you want to go to the bathroom so badly, go to the bathroom, and they had to walk really far away. And that also explains why, when they would go to war, they had to take a shovel with them, because after they complained, they had to go to the bathroom once again. That's why they needed to take shovels with them. And says the Gra that you can skip the next 2 lines until almost the very end of the page. Another explanation for the pasuk of Lechem Abir Machal Ish is a Yoshua. This is Joshua Shiar Lo Man Keneged Kol Yisrael, that he himself got as much man as all the rest of the Yidden. I don't know why, but that sounds very interesting. So when they went to Har Sinai, and right, it says Vayal Moshe al Har Sinai, V'Moshe v'Yoshua Misharso Vayal Moshe al Har Sinai, that Moshe and Joshua, his servant, went to Har Sinai. I was just reading Rashi, now back in the Gemara. So it says Ksivacha Ish, it says over here Ish, and Uchsiv Hasam, and it says in Sefer Bamidbar, Kachlchas Yoshua ben Nun Ish asher ruach bo. Take Yoshua ben Nun, an Ish that has spirit. Ve'ema Moshe d'chsiva Ish Moshe Adam v'od. Maybe I'll say it's a reference to Moshe who got man, like all of Am Yisrael, because it says Va'ish Moshe Adam v'od, so Moshe is also an Ish. Done ish me ish, done ish me v'ha ish. We learn out ish from ish. It says ish by Yoshua rather than viha ish by Moshe. So therefore, it must be that lechem abirim achal ish is a reference to Yoshua, that he got as much money as everybody else. Cheve, that was daf ayin hey of Masechta Yoma. That was like a real, as I said earlier, it was like a real brachas daf, right? Like huge daf. A lot of the daf really dealt with man, different aspects of man, how it can taste like whatever you want it to taste like, how it would be able to settle disputes based on, who got the extra omer of man, things like that. And we talked about the slav and the meat, and also the punishments that ensued because they asked for the meat even though they didn't need it. And very, very interesting Gemaras over here. That was Daf Ayin Hey of Masechta Yoma. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.